Greetings, every people. Zero Cult Personality here. ToonKritic's name, Toon's name of my game. Welcome back to the Sketchpad, a little show where I send out a bunch of emails saying, hey, do you want to be interviewed? And whoever comes back to me ends up on this little show. So as you've been seeing recently, I have been interviewing quite a lot of voice actors and actresses, spanning from all over the world in so many different fandoms and so many different actual productions. I felt that as much fun as it is going to the big time and up to Hollywood and stuff, I wanted to actually take a step back because this is kind of where I started. So today with me, I have a pretty swell gal. I think you may recognize her voice from a few things. So allow me to introduce to all of you, Miss Emily Jones.
Hi there.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, thank you.
So for those who do not know who you are, please enlighten the audience as to who you are and what you do.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, okay, my name's EmuEmi on YouTube, and people refer to me as Emmy Jones. And people may know me as the voice of Tails and Amy Rose in Big's Big Fishing Adventure 3.
I still can't believe that's a thing.
I know! It's really great. As well as just general stuff that I put out on my YouTube. I put out a lot of acoustic versions of Sonic music, and people seem to be pretty happy with that. So yeah, and I guess another additional thing is I voice Isabelle on Turning Over a New Leaf, which is a production by Amanda Pony.
I have to say, though, your voice is amazing, whether it's in voice acting or singing. Like, you just have this very distinct, I would say, calming sort of tone when it comes to your songs.
Oh, that's really great to hear. Thank you. I try my best to take advantage of that and cover a lot of soft music, and if it's not something soft, I'll change the style and make it soft.
I was actually kind of listening to the Unknown From Me cover a few hours ago. It got stuck in my head, so...
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with that. Oh my god.
It did turn out very well. So, looking back on some of your past videos, what was the moment in your video making career where you knew, like, you made it? Like, with this video, with, like, what you got off of it, you realized, yeah, I'm here. This is what I want to do. I made it.
Yeah, well, I think that when it comes to my YouTube in particular, I think it's sort of like stepping stones. So I feel like there's a couple times where I could say, oh, this, or no, this, or because I wasn't sure which one to pick. I'm like, I don't know, because there's so many instances where I would put something out and it would help me grow and grow and grow. And I mean, probably one of the very first things that I had put out and realized, oh, okay, people like what I'm doing, was the piano version of Wonderbolt that I put out. Yeah, very old piece. It's 3 years old, but I had my friend Ivory Brony, or James. He composed a piano piece of Wonderbolt. I think that was by DB Pony, and I covered that, and a lot of people swarmed at it. And after that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna continue doing this music thing. And then, like, another instance was when I sort of made my transition to Sonic, and I covered Believe in Myself, and that was another moment. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing pretty good. So it's just a few times where, again, I'm just slowly stepping higher and higher, trying to continually improve.
Yeah. You mentioned the transition from Brony to Sonic. You had a podcast series during your time in the Brony fandom, and then you kind of just stepped away from that to do Sonic. So I gotta ask, what was that transition like to Sonic, and why pick Sonic?
That's a really great question, and good segue. So, yeah, well, with Pony, I loved it, and I got into it back in 2012, and yeah, I host a show called Pegasisters Live, for people who didn't know that. Literally, I think it was like every Sunday I would get on with a friend of mine, and we would just kind of goof off and show off music and do whatever, really. We just had fun, and that was really great, and ponies are awesome. I still actually think ponies are great, but when it came to my transition for Sonic, I decided on Sonic only because, okay, so when I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was beginning of season 5 for Pony. I was like, okay, you know, I really like this show, but the writing's sort of changing a little bit. So I think I might kind of slow down on watching it. It's not that I um don't like it, and it's not like, oh, I want to stay away from it or anything. It's just a little exhausting to keep up with sometimes, and I'm like, you know, I think I want to try something new. So I sort of stepped out, and I'm like, I'll just kind of focus on other things that I enjoy, which in general are video games. And so for a little while, I was sort of just in the middle, like just sort of doing video games and kind of hanging out. And I guess the reason I specifically stepped into Sonic is because I met someone named Matt, or people may know as like the owner of Tails channel.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, we were in a call. I didn't know who he was. Like, we were in a general call with a couple friends, and he pointed out that I had done like a Sonic cover at one point. And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I love Sonic. And he was like, oh yeah, me too. I have an entire channel based off of it. And I'm like, oh my god, is there like a fandom like this? Like, kind of like back when I was, I think 11 or 12, I was technically like around in the Sonic fandom.
Oh boy.
But back when I know, so back when I was 11 or 12 though. Back then it was a little different. Basically it made up of me making really embarrassing Sonic A&Vs and having a photo, not even a Photoshop, it was an MS Paint Amy recolor, and like having a MySpace profile like Emily the Hedgehog. So I'm like, is this still continue? Are people still going?
Oh yeah, that's still a thing. Like over on DeviantArt, like that's still alive and well in some dark corners of like DeviantArt. That's still a thing.
It's so cute, honestly. And when I realized that so many people were still rallying around this character that I grew up with, I'm like, you know what? I think this might be my home. Because, again, I got into Sonic when I was 8. And I was obsessed. Like, more than I was ever obsessed with something like Pony. Like, you could ask my parents, they were embarrassed. Because I made a pair of felt tails and I wore it out in public even when they didn't want me to. And it was like huge, and it would drag on the floor and get dirty, and they're like, oh, this isn't my kid.
Oh no, our kid's turning into a furry. Oh no.
Yep, pretty much. I turned into a furry when I was like 8 years old. Oh my god. So yeah, I always was obsessed with Sonic, and when I saw that it was a thing online very similar to the Brony community, I'm like, oh, I gotta go. This is my fresh start. I just want to go out, and again, I just sort of fell out of Pony a little bit. I still love it, and I still appreciate everything it did for me, but Sonic has just given me sort of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and now look at you. You were on like this huge charity live stream, and you were talking with like some of the voice actors from Sonic, so that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, some of them I got very lucky in that sense, but like, you know, I did bring on like Ryan Drummond, voice of Sonic, and I mean, I did manage that because he's a friend of mine, so I'm like, okay, hey buddy, old pal, you want to get on there to help me make some money for kids? And he's like, sure.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
going back a little bit to what you do, as I guess you would consider yourself a voice actress and a singer?
I would, yeah.
How long have you been doing that, just real quick? Like, how many years?
So, okay, it's kind of different for each. Singing, I've been doing that for years. I mean, back in elementary school, middle school, and high school, I always participated in choir. In high school, I participated in additional activities when it came to choir, like, you know, like madrigals and, you know, stuff like that. And, so I've always been singing, and I've always loved it so much. And after I graduated, I saw people putting their music out on YouTube, and I said, "Ooh, I should try that." So I just used a terrible microphone and threw it out, and people were like, "Yeah, this is pretty good." So I decided to. Yeah, pretty much. I literally used a iMac speaker mic.
Oh.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was bad. But and then when it came to acting, first I actually started with like on stage theater.
Ah, nice.
And yeah, I did it in high school a little bit, and I also did color guard, which is sort of acting but without words. It's acting with your body and your face, and you're dancing, and it's ballet and jazz, and you're doing all these moves with flag, and it's performing, but just no words. So I always was crazy about acting and performing, and then again, around 2012, same time where I picked up that microphone when it came to singing, I'm like, what if I like tried doing characters? And it did take me a while to find, I guess, my stepping, well, not my stepping, I'm trying to think of the word for it, sort of my place.
Your
Because
foot in the door.
because when it came to Pony, I didn't really have too many characters that I could do, because when it comes to Pony stuff, people really, really want impressions out of you, and the absolute most I could give them was Scootaloo and Apple Bloom, and not a lot of people ever really needed those characters. So I was just sort of around practicing my acting on the side. I was practicing heavy, but not many people really needed that. But then when I came into Sonic and I gave them my interpretations of the characters, then everywhere I went, people were like, can you do this? Can you do that? I'm like, okay, yeah, I found it. Okay, I'm good.
Would you say then it's singing and voice acting, it's something you've always wanted to do, basically?
I'd say in general, performing and being a part of something is something that I've always wanted to do, and it took sort of this journey to figure out that it was acting and singing.
That seems fair. By your personal preference, what are some qualities you think well, I guess now that you put it together, a performer should have, and what are some pet peeves you have as a performer?
Okay. I'm gonna go with pet peeve first, because it came to mind right away. A couple things. So I'm trying to think of how to word it. Pet peeves. Probably people who focus very, very hard on attempting to mimic a voice in particular, or I guess impersonating a voice. And kind of being like, yeah, I'm an actor, and that's totally fine. You are an actor. We all have to get our start somewhere. But I guess for the people who try very, very hard to use their impressions to sort of get by in their career, I can't. It's hard to watch it sometimes. So it's like, no, you should try to just act, because when it comes to voice acting, it's still acting. You don't want to get by with just doing, a Kermit the Frog impression. I'm sorry.
No, that makes sense. That actually makes sense, because you don't want to end up like a one-trick pony. You want to end up with like having a wide range. You want to show that you have plenty of variety to what you can do as a performer.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, while I will say this, impressions are a good stepping stool to learning what your voice is capable of doing. So when, you're fooling around with your voice and you're trying to do all these things, you're like, oh, I didn't know my voice could do that. So I guess for like an example was when I would try to do an impression of Scootaloo back with the pony stuff. I took that and I said, oh, hey, I can do like this sort of tomboyish thing. And then when I moved over to Sonic, I realized, hey, what would be really cool? Why don't I try to like take that and make it into a boy voice? And when doing that, now I'm able to match up with characters, like Tails. And that is really important. You can practice and try to impersonate things, and then you can learn what your voice is capable of doing. Just make sure that you understand that, a studio or an agent or anyone who's looking to hire, they're not going to hire you if you're gonna do like a Kermit the Frog or Mickey Mouse or something like that.
Anyone can do that.
Yeah, well, and they've already heard it. If they need that, they're gonna hire the people who originally created that voice. They are looking for something new and unique.
Yeah. I've noticed that when it comes to certain like casting calls, like they're not looking for some like, oh yeah, anyone can do this voice, but we're looking for like something specific, or rather we're looking for a wide range. And you're right, impressions are cool. Impressions are very nice. I mean, like I said, if anyone tries, they can really do it, but there's more to voice acting, at least in my mind, than just impressions.
Yep, I completely agree. And especially when you hear, I guess there's instances where you'll see an actor or, someone who is aspiring to be an actor, and they'll try really hard to do the voice, and maybe they kind of lack on the acting a bit, if that makes a little bit of sense. Like,
yeah, it does.
they're like really pressing hard on like doing whatever they're trying to do, and they're sacrificing the acting in what they're putting out, and sometimes it's like, oh god, don't do that, please. So just always first and foremost focus on just acting. Make the character believable, bring the character to life. If it's not the exact same thing that maybe your favorite actor has done, that's okay, because you can maybe create something that that you are capable of and that maybe people will like for its own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean totally. I think it's very important that people who are looking for voice actors or actresses, they don't want to hear you do a bunch of characters. They want to hear you. They want to hear what you have to offer, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's how variety goes around. It's how they're able to pick up like all these different voices and all these different characters, because they're not looking for something they've already heard before. They're looking for something new. They're looking for something that's you. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it really makes sense.
No, it's true. It's true. It's true. Yep.
So shifting back a bit, you mentioned Tails. What do you enjoy most about voicing Tails? Because that seems to be your thing, and that's a really good thing too, because you do it very well.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot when it comes to Tails that I really enjoy, and in specifically voicing him. I mean, okay, so I kind of started off with Tails. Now, I technically said, I inspired that from Scootaloo, but another little tidbit is that when I was a little kid, I, again, embarrassed my parents, and I carried a little Tails plushie around. And I've had it since I was incredibly small, and I took it everywhere, and it got filthy, and I dragged it places, and I would, do this and that with it. But most importantly, I gave it a voice, and
no, that doesn't sound like bad at all. Like, you were a kid, it you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, when I was doing it as a kid, I'm not thinking, someday I'm gonna be an actress,
Someday I'm gonna be in a Sonic video game one of these days. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you, it's gonna happen. No, like, it was just like, I don't know, like, I would take Tails to the park, and I'd be like, hey Tails, you wanna go over to and go down that slide? And he'd just come back like, yeah, let's do it. It was really goofy, and I guess because of the childhood memories, that alone, like, I do the character, and I think of all those times that I had this. For me as a kid, that plushie was my best friend, and because I didn't have too many friends, I had some, but he was my best friend. I would have chosen him over any human being. Like, my parents joke like that Tails doll is gonna be like the ring bearer at your wedding, and I'm like, no, he's gonna be my husband. Nice try.
Well, when you put it like that,
I'm kid. I don't get it, right? So, yeah. So that's my best friend. We even had friendship bracelets.
Oh my god.
He still has his. Yeah.
So you still have the plush.
Of course, yeah. He's actually in my bed right now. I have him every night, and he's great. Yeah, he's my best friend. I have good memories with him, and so when I do the voice, all those kind of memories swarm back. And when it comes to Tails, he is real to me. He's my best friend, and I guess whenever these situations pop up, or someone asks me to do him, or voice this and this thing or whatever, I'm just like, look what I'm doing, Tails. Like, look, I'm making you proud. And I don't know, it's kind of goofy and really cheesy, but
no, it's sentimental, I think. If it's special, if it's nostalgic, it helps bring like a specialness to voicing that character, voicing Tails, and I think that's really genuine. And I honestly love that. Like, hearing about that, that's really cool. That you're basically living like a childhood dream, getting to do this, and that is not many are fortunate enough to do that, I think.
Yeah, it's not easy to do something like that, and I'm very thankful for everything that everyone has given me when it comes to being capable of voicing this character for people, and I'm very lucky.
What would you say your experience is like getting to interact with some of the cast members of the Sonic series? Like, what was it like the first time that you got to do it?
Okay, well, are you? I guess are you referring to like the current cast?
Or just really like any members of the Sonic series? Like, what was the first person that you met from it?
The first person that I did meet was Ryan. And we like met through Twitter, funny enough. And we just had a good conversation. I found out that he actually grew up in Ohio, which is where I'm from. So we hit it off and had really good conversations. We became really close friends, and I guess experience-wise with it being Sonic, that sort of came as a second thought. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, that's right, he's Sonic, but like, he's also, you know, him. But I guess regarding other people, like Roger and Mike, the current cast, they're really awesome, and it's really cool that, you know, I guess I get to be placed sort of in similar ranks to them, like when it comes to BBFA 3. It's really surreal. They're very nice people.
Yeah, Mike Pollock especially. I had a very, very interesting interview with him. He was a real swell guy.
Oh, okay.
Getting to chat with him. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's still, again, it is so cool that you're actually getting to interact with, like, you know, the actual cast. You're part of this fan game now, Big's Big Fishing Adventure 3. Still can't believe that's a thing, but okay, I guess we're doing this.
Oh yeah, it was never a joke.
Okay.
We've been hard at work. Like, ever since that it was joked about on the Sonic Twitter, the plans were made. Like, it was never a joke.
Okay. If you crazy kids and your crazy Sonic games, all right. No, that's actually kind of funny because I think the Sonic fan base now has just gone completely meta, gone completely self-aware. Like, if you watch Sonic Boom, they know. But they don't care anymore. It's amazing how far we've gotten with Sonic. Like, there's fourth wall breaks, self-awareness, meta humor, all of this, because even they know, like, we used to do some weird stuff. I mean, I could make a video on, like, all the crazy stuff they've done in Sonic Boom, but that's for something completely later. This actually segues also really nicely. Do you hope to go professional with your talents, or just keep it as a hobby? Because let's just say, like, the people from Sonic Boom are like, hey, we need you for a voice. Would you like it? Do you want to be the new Tails?
Oh, yeah. Oh, please. Yeah, no, definitely. For me, this is definitely something that I want to take to a professional level. If anyone were like, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we need you for a thing, I would jump at that, like at the drop of a hat. Like, yes, yes, yes. Especially Sega-related. I'd do anything for those guys. Or anyone, really. I mean, yeah, for me, you know, hobbies are great, but I really love this, and I would love to take it to a place where I could live off of it.
Well, that's really good. I would hate to see, like, just the talents kept on just YouTube, because YouTube is all fine and well, but I know there's something bigger out there. I want more, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's,
you know,
that's really
YouTube's
good.
a good start.
Actually, speaking of YouTube, besides, like, you know, what you normally do, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I like to play games. Again, I am a very big collector.
Oh, boy.
Is
there, like, let me guess, there's a shrine in the closet with, like, all the Tails memorabilia, there's posters, keychains, prints, plushies, all of that?
You know what? Kind of.
Oh, great. I was just joking.
Kind of. No, my collection is mostly based off of, like, actual games themselves. So I have, you know, like, all the Sega consoles. I have, you know, all these, obviously, like, other consoles as well. But I focus on trying to have a full, complete set of Sega games themselves. And I have, like, all the obscure stuff. Like, you know, like Tales in the Music Maker for the Sega Pico, like, really weird stuff in all the Japanese titles. It is, yeah, and I have, like, all of my consoles are modded to play Japanese titles, so I also have Japanese titles. Just, yeah, a lot. I even have some, like Sega hacks on, like, the official Genesis, which is really weird.
What's the most? What's your most precious, like, thing in your collection?
Oh God. I'm looking over at it right now. Okay, so I'm gonna separate this by two factors, or two sections rather. My video games themselves and my like just plain out like Sonic memorabilia stuff. And when it comes to my video game collection, looking at it, oh my God, probably my Japanese. I'm thinking actually. Hold on. Is there anything else better than that? Yeah, I like that the most probably. My Japanese, yeah, my Japanese Nights into Dreams. It
Wow.
is all fully in its box still, and it comes with the 3D controller, like Sega's very first 3D controller, and it's all like fully boxed still, and they apparently go for a pretty decent amount of money. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of that, as well as just having a plain copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day, but that's nothing too major.
Well, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, and then with like my Sonic memorabilia in general, oh God, I have so much stuff. I'm like looking at it all, like which one? Maybe my first 4 figures. It's Tails in the tornado with Sonic gliding on top of the plane.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a big statue. So probably that. I guess it's so hard. I mean, I also have like this really cool like Sonic statue from Joyopolis that was for the 25th anniversary. So I like that too. I don't know. I'm bad at picking.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. My only other question besides that was like, what's your favorite Sonic game? But I feel like that's probably an easy question. But then I have to make you choose. So
I can choose that one. Sonic Adventure 1.
Interesting. That's one I've never really dived into. But I know everyone keeps
Really?
talking about it. Yeah, I always preferred 2.
Yeah. Oh, I love 2 as well.
I have a soft spot for Shadow the Hedgehog too.
Oh, it's okay. I have my Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh boy. It's story-wise it's okay. It's just really hard to run fast with a gun.
Well, I mean, Shadow was able to do it pretty well. I mean, I have an affinity for things red and black. What can I say? It's
Yeah,
something
makes
that
sense.
stuck. It's something
That
that
makes
stuck
sense.
with me.
I'm sure you really like Shadow the Hedgehog then, just as a character.
Well, yeah, actually, I kind of do. I've always been interested in the dark, edgy foil for some characters. I think it was an interesting stereotype that they went with in the early 2000s, and then it just kind of went from there. It's the edgy thing, and I always found that cool. I don't know why.
Would you say you're a fan of the new villain, Infinite, then?
Man, Infinite looks like
Infinite.
he looks like a deviant art user's wet dream come true on every
Yeah, it
sense.
does.
It's like, ooh, he's faster than Sonic. He's so edgy with all the red and black stuff. Look at all the spikes and the
Yeah.
wavy stuff. He can fly. He's got all this cool stuff, and I'm like, if I was younger, I would have tried to come up with something like this. And then I look at my own Sonic OCs and I'm like, maybe not.
Maybe not. I think he's pretty cool. I asked because he's got that red and black thing going on.
Yeah, it's funny when I looked at him for the first time. I had so many people like clamoring to me, like, "Dude, look, it's like this new red and black thing. What do you think?" I'm like, "Okay, just because a character's red and black does not mean y'all need to come to me so I can judge it." Like,
That's really funny.
that's kind of my thing now. I've kind of been like I'm the red and black judge now. So I'm like, okay, I guess all right. I everything that is red and black now I must judge. Okay, let's run with it.
That's awesome.
Anyway, getting back though. Do I have any other bonus questions? No, I guess. Oh wait, yes, I have the one last question, of course, that I like to ask anyone who does any voice acting or singing in general. There are some
Okay.
people out there who say that voice acting is not a real job.
Oh my god.
What would you
Oh
say to
my God.
those who have that perspective? Because I ask so many people this. I'm like, people seriously don't think that like voice acting is not a real job. Like, I wanna hear your perspective.
People who say that clearly aren't a part of the game. when it comes to acting, more than anything, it is nothing but hard work. When you ask anyone who has made it out there, you're like, what did you do? How did you do this? It's people who spent hours upon hours knocking on people's door, offering their voice up to like random local people, just putting your voice absolutely anywhere and everywhere. It is hard work. When it comes to auditions, for like I'd say every 90 auditions, you will nail one of those auditions and actually get the role.
That's the unfortunate reality with it sometimes, because you put out so much stuff, and like you maybe will get lucky. I mean, I think people assume that just like, oh, I can just apply my voice for anything and I can get anything I want, but it doesn't work like that.
Not at all, and you have to consider all of that. I mean, there is, for each character, there is only one fit. So when all these people are coming in, only one person's going to come out, and you have to kind of factor that in. And so again, out of like 90 to 100 auditions, you're going to nail one or two if you're lucky. And so most of the career is just going in and doing audition after audition, and you know, perfecting your craft. It's not easy, and I mean, it's so not easy that it's actually considered, okay, I think it's, if you are making more than $5,000 a year, you are above average. Like, you are doing well in the acting scene. And that's really sad. It's really challenging. So no, I whoever says that, you surely haven't given this thing a thought or a try at all, because it is incredibly challenging and it is a lot of hard work. But is it worth it for people? Hey, if that is the one thing that you want to do in life, then it's worth it.
Exactly. If you're serious about this, and if you want to stay in like a voice acting booth for like 8+ hours, maybe even more, doing all these multiple takes, multiple scenes for one show, or maybe even just one episode, it's worth it. I honestly think that it's worth it.
It's definitely worth it if that is the one thing that you want to do. So, you know, you obviously, it takes a lot to consider. So it's like, okay, when it comes to what you want to do in life, if there is anything else that you may want to be, consider doing that instead, because when it comes to acting, it is not an easy field. So you have to be really serious about it. You have to kind of know in your heart, like, all right, this is what I'm doing, and you got to throw yourself in and be ready for all that hard work, because it is, whew, I can tell you, it is not easy. But that means, you know, I'm working hard, and I'm gonna, you know, see improvement.
Exactly. Okay, so I think we are at the end of this nice little interview. This actually went by a lot faster than I thought it would. So before we go, is there anything that you would like to plug?
Yeah, sure. I am putting out projects. Just, you know, just go to my YouTube channel. It's EmuEmi, EmuEmi. And I am currently putting out projects, like, say, once or twice every few weeks. So go check that out. I'm putting out multiple things right now, all regarding Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, and some other stuff. Also, be sure to check out Big's Big Fishing Adventure 3 when it comes out. There is a Twitter, and the Twitter name is Big the Cat. So if you want to go and check out updates on the game, go there, because you'll see really cool stuff like character trailers and music previews, all that stuff. It's really great. So, and then again, too, I guess follow me on Twitter at the EmuEmi. I'm there, hanging out, having a good time. Yeah.
And if you have also made it this far in the video, go ahead and put down in the comments what your favorite song from Miss Emmy over here. Personally, my favorite song is actually the one you did for Sonic Freeriders. You made the song, the only good thing from that game, sound even better. So props to you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I cannot stand that. I took one look at Sonic Freeriders, and then I actually gave it a try, because at first I'm like, no, this game isn't that bad, and I almost cracked my back trying to do this, and I'm like, okay, this game should never have been made with motion controls in mind. My back is gonna sue you for everything you're worth.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there's no way to kind of get around that, because if you could use normal controls, I think the game could have been really fun.
Honestly, could have been. So, with that, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to do this. I think we had a very lovely interview.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Alright, that being said, I am the Toon Critic, keeping you totally tuned for your entertainment. Thank you for watching, and stay awesome.